Hey y'all, happy Hump Day. Happy Hump Day at the Director's Garage. Good to see you guys all today. We got a picture? We got a picture. That looks like a picture. Yeah, I wanted to do a little hangout for us in the middle of the week. A lot of people kind of enjoyed the last one we did. Are we up here? I'm looking for my picture. Let's see a return. There he is. Okay. Yeah, I want to do a hangout in the middle of the week. I thought it'd be kind of fun, and I don't want to do anything that's like too technical. It's like, you know, we're in the middle of the week and everybody's kind of grinding at it, and I get it. And I thought, well, what about a you know, like a middle of the week kind of hangout? We can talk music, we can talk shit, we can do whatever we want to do, and just kind of have some fun for, you know, however long it goes, and see what happens. So here we are. I decided to turn the old live stream on and go live with color to all of the world. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. I am your host and resident idiot, Michael, if I haven't covered that enough. And I want to, let's see, what can I start with today? I want to talk about Audeze real quick. A couple things with Audeze. And I'm going to put some other music on. Let's get some regular Director's Garage music going. I got my classic intro. I kind of was happy with that. Now we get into some regular stuff. Okay. Anyway, I want to talk Audeze for a second because I got a contact from them. A couple things happened. First of all, you'll see I'm wearing the Audeze LCD5 right here. The Audeze LCD5. Very good headphone. You know, amazing headphone. Impressed me. Gave it a good review about 2 months ago, roughly. And one of the things that I had complained about is the headband was really, really tight. And thanks to you viewers, you guys out there, I contacted Audeze and I said, you know, this feels like really tight to me. And somebody said there might be a different headband for this. And sure enough, they sent me a looser headband. So these are no longer like crushing my skull. And here's the old headband, and you can kind of see, I'll hold them up. You can't see much of anything. It just doesn't feel like this one has a lot of tension, and this one not so much. So I did another Audeze review this week, right? And I did the Carbon, and that dropped on Tuesday, and thank you guys for watching that. Hi, my Mrs. Director just came in.
Hello, I'm ready for my close-up.
Yeah, we're live on YouTube, babe. And so I dropped the Carbon, and Audeze contacted me, and they said, you know, you were complaining about what we call unceremoniously stacks farts, which is this effect that Stax headphones have if you turn your head real fast. The charged stator by Holly. Holly was on the desk for the first part of this. It's like a little hidden Easter egg for Director's Garage fans. Holly, who's now about to head outside. And I was on the Carbon. So Audeze saw the Carbon review, and they contacted me and said, well, if you're having this stacks fart issue, tell me what your serial number is. So I gave him the serial number. He goes, oh, you were in the first dozen headphones produced, of the Carbons produced. So send them to us. You know, we need to get them, and we have a revision for this headphone that will cut way down on the stacks farts situation. So I said, yeah, well, that's great. You know, of course, anything that reduces that jarring effect of the plate, the diaphragm connects. The way electrostatics work, if you're not familiar, is there's a positive charged diaphragm, and that sits between two stators that have different charges too, and they repel and draw each other together at ridiculously fast speed, and it gives the electrostatics such detail and clarity because of the speed that this whole diaphragm can move, because you've got these charged electric poles. Well, if you move your head fast in one of those headphones, or if you change the pressure on the diaphragm, the stator can stick to the diaphragm, or you can push the diaphragm into the stator, and you get like it's basically a short, and it goes and it's really the difference between the Audeze version of it and the Stax version of it is the Audeze version of it is very loud. Well, they're saying they've got a fix for the Audeze headphone that will eliminate this Stax fart situation. And so what they did, which was really cool, plane coming by, we're in the flight path today, Burbank International Airport. They invited me down to go to the Audeze factory on June 1st, or April 1st. So unless it's an April Fool's joke, in which case it's going to be a very, very long drive for a short meeting with your resident idiot. But I'm going to go down there on April 1st, and they're going to show me around and probably make me sign an NDA, and then make me promise to give them my car if I report on anything on here. So, but it'll be cool. I want to see the Audeze facility. That's where they do all the manufacturing and R&D and all that stuff. And I met them at Can Jam while I was waiting in line for the review of this LCD5, and they said, we'd like to have you come down sometime. But then I didn't hear from them again. I thought, well, it's probably something they tell everybody in line, come on down, and then like, don't answer the phone. So no, it was great. They were really cool about it, so I'm going to be doing that. So Daniel Foster, Way Cool Hangout. That's what I want to do. I want to do some hangouts. I want to just let's hang out and talk about fart revisions. JTV, you rock, man. Yeah, so there's a revision to the fart problem, but yeah, I want to do some hangouts. First of all, getting a full episode out is getting harder and harder for me, especially in this season, because I told you about this at the beginning of the last episode. This award show stuff just is dominating time. I'm heading into tax season. I got to get my taxes out at some point. I just started them last night, and on top of that, I'm just so bombarded with work, having time to write, shoot, edit, add all the stuff, because I don't want to give you guys a crappy episode. Like, I can slap something together and get it out the door in, one day, but it's not going to be the quality of what I've done to date. And I think that that's one of the things I don't want to do, is sell the Director's Garage short, sell you guys who tune in to see something hopefully special. And I don't want to disappoint you guys, because and if I half-ass it, you're going to know. I mean, you're going to tell. It's like, why is the graphic so bad? Why is it sloppy? Why is it just feel thrown together? And I don't want to do that. That's not the show. This show stops being enjoyable to do if I've got to rush it through and if it's a pain in the butt. So let's not do that, right? Let's just put quality episodes out that everybody likes. And if it means I can come on live every now and then and just kind of like say hello and check in with you guys, it's awesome. Do I ever think about reviewing speakers? Dominic Green, no! There will be no speaker reviews at the Director's Garage. And here's why. I don't have a room. And I'd have to take over the living room, which my wife just remodeled. And guys, if you know anything about marriage, happy wife, happy life, you do not want to mess with a brand new living room and put speakers in it. So no, I don't have a setup for it. I don't have lighting for it. I don't have an area to test speakers without like majorly disrupting my life. And I've had offers. I actually had just yesterday, a soundbar company contact me and said, hey, can we send you one of our soundbars? And I'm like, two things. Number one, I don't deal directly with manufacturers. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not taking any products direct from manufacturers. You guys know that. I go through vendors, which puts that layer of insulation between me and the manufacturer. I don't have to say something nice because it came from a manufacturer. It's, objectivity stays in place. And then the other thing is that I'm just not prepared to review a soundbar. I have a soundbar in my living room. I have a, what is it called? It's a Panorama from, not Klipsch, one of those Klipschy kind of places. Let's shut the door. One of those Klipschy kind of places, or Klipschy kind of brands. Who did the Panorama? Bowers & Wilkins? Bowers & Wilkins. It's a Bowers & Wilkins soundbar. And they just came out with a new one, and that one I want to buy, because it's actually a $1,000 cheaper than the last soundbar I bought, and it's supposed to be even better. So that would be kind of cool. Coke or Pepsi? Oh, dude, it's Coca-Cola all the way. I'm sorry, no. It's going to be. And if Coca-Cola's watching, I'm available for appearances and commercials. And they can support the Director's Garage. In fact, imagine the number of X9000s I could get in here with a Coke subscription or a Coke sponsorship. Man, that would be great. And that's one of the disappointments I think I have going into episode 100, which will be the next recorded episode. The last one was 99 with the Carbon. I really, really was hoping that for episode 100, I could drop that SRX 9000 on you guys from Stax, the new Stax headphone, and be like, boom, episode 100 drops, It's not going to happen. The only way that was going to happen is if I sold a bunch of other stuff, and I've got a bunch of stuff for sale in the Director's Garage sale down below. Make sure you check it out if you're interested in anything. There's the Phonitor X down there, very good amp. And then the CX, Drop CX, Mr. Speakers, closed back, the carbon fibery things. Those are for sale. Those are, I paid, I think $750 for them. They go for $9 normally. I got them on sale for $750. I'm selling them for $650. $650 will get you a pair of those. They're in like brand new condition. And then the other thing I'm selling is my N8. I'm selling my Cayin N8, which I love that player. I love that player. One of my favorite players. In fact, my favorite player. I use it more than the SP1000 because the SP1000 seems to always be out of battery. The N8 holds charge forever, and it's got a big battery in it, and it's got the tube stage. So I'm getting rid of that. And this one comes with all of those little adapter things to get you from 4-pin down to Pentacon, all that stuff. Very cool. So if you're interested in that, email me at directorsgarage@gmail.com. Send me that email, and we can strike up a little deal. And you're not going to get screwed because you know where to find me. And this show has no viewers. I can't afford to lose any. All right, let's take a look. True story. Mommy ain't happy. No one's happy. Correct, Dominic. Watching live from Taiwan. You guys don't have anything cooler to do in Taiwan. But it's probably it's probably tomorrow there, right? It would be tomorrow morning, probably. We'll be reviewing Burson audio. I had a Burson conductor in here, like way back before I had the Woo gear, when I got my first HD800, the original one that I bought used for like $900, and I thought, man, I got a deal on that. I had the Burson in here. And it was the old conductor. It wasn't, the new fancy ones with the displays and all that. But I want to get the Grand Tour in here. I hear great things about that. Burson has reached out to me saying they'd like me to review their products. It's again, I don't want to go through a manufacturer. So I will have to buy it. So I'm keeping, pardon me, got a burp. I'm keeping an eye on the used gear stuff, and if one slides through, I may pick it up and do it. I have two fantastic frickin' amps back here right now. Oh, I forgot to plug in my light back there, my little AC/DC light. And that's the Ferrum Stack and the GSX Mark II. Last live episode, I called this the GSX Mini. It's not, it's the Mark II, it's the Big Daddy. And I've got I'm talking to Headamp right now to see if they can't take this in and maybe take a look at the pod on it, because it feels a little tight. Sounds great though, no problems with it at all. It just feels like it could be a little bit tight. But yeah, I've got two really good amps in here. I don't feel the urge to have another amp like that because, judging from some of the other reviews I've heard, you're in the same ballpark as this Ferrum Stack. And the Ferrum Stack, dude, man, I gotta tell you, this is what I've been listening to at night. You want to know what happens when the show goes off the air? It's been the Abyss 1266 TC through the Ferrum. if you remember when I did the 1266 TC video, I didn't really, I wasn't impressed by the TC. Like, I was more impressed by the original Thie. And I don't know, you know, it was just like the bad synergy through my Woo amp or through the, what was the amp? I was doing the Phonitor at the time. And through the Phonitor, whatever. It just was, it didn't impress me all that much. So, but through the Ferrum, these things are seriously like, it is neck and neck with the Susvara for sound quality. And I didn't think that an amp would make that much difference. And it has. It genuinely has. I can't say enough good things about the Burson. Or I'm sorry, about the Burson, about the Abyss 1266. That's what happens when you do things live. I can't go back and edit. Let's take a look. What do we got here? What are you guys doing? What are you guys listening to? You didn't miss any fun, CD-ROM. We don't have fun around here. No pressure to rush out content. Life gets busy. Yeah, life does get busy. That's JTB talking. Yeah, life really does get busy, and I don't want to rush out content. I want to keep the quality up on this show. I think you guys tune in. I think we've got almost 4,000 viewers, and I think, you know, I'm not the most technical reviewer. There are other people who do the graphs and the charts and the breakdown of everything technically and understand the voltage behind the dealios. And I'm not. I'm somebody who really is, I'm an enthusiast. I would say I'm an enthusiast, and that's what I am. I love this hobby, and I love different sounds, and I you know, and you guys really know my main passion is music. And I started the Director's Garage because nobody talks about music. Like, we do these shows and it's all like, well, the total harmonic distortion, and if you take a look at the Harman curve versus the thing, and I'm like, where's the music a part of this, you know? And that's really why I started it all. So and then I wanted to get rid of the jump cuts because I was getting like schizophrenic from all the jump cutting in these videos. I can't stand it. I'm like, there's a way to do a video where you don't have to do that. So I wanted to make it look good, and that was the thing. What kind of Coke sponsorship? I know, guy. I will every episode drink a full bottle of Coke on camera, and hold the label in full view of the lens if Coca-Cola will sponsor this show and help me buy headphones. And get me a little closer to retirement. That's the kind of Coke sponsorship I'm talking about. Have you listened to the LCD4 before? Yes, I have. An old one. I have not listened to anything recent. And as I mentioned, I'm going to Audeze on April 1st. I have a hunch that I may be dropping some cash while I'm there. I think there's a pretty good chance of that. And one of the headphones that I'm interested in is the LCD4. I'm also interested in the closed back because I still don't have a closed back that replaces this NDH20. And I'm looking. This house is haunted, people. It's haunted. I don't have the. I'm looking for a closed back that can replace it. That's kind of more comfortable and better for a long term. But yeah, I have not listened to the LCD4 in years. I remember it being heavy. I remember it being a bass cannon, and I think I listened to it on the GSX Mark II, in fact, or it was the shit, one of the big shit amps, the shitty amps. I remember that, but it was a good headphone. It had a lot of detail to it. Very, very heavy, very bass cannon, and at the time I had just gotten I think either my first HE1000 or the HE1000 V2. And I got Hi-Fi Man did me a solid back then. I didn't even have a show, I didn't have a review, something, but I wrote a really detailed review of the HE1000. And when the HE1000 V2 came out, they contacted me and said, "We love the way you write your reviews. Would you publish a review on Headphone if we gave you an even swap V1 for a V2?" And I said, any day of the week, folks, because I was just a consumer back then. And I did that, and I wrote them a nice review on that. That was a beautiful headphone. I still miss that headphone in some ways. But I can't say, getting back on topic, which my mind just does this. So getting back on topic, the LCD4 4 or the Utopia, I couldn't tell you. I think I need to hear it fresh. It's been too long since I heard the LCD4. The Utopia I like, but I'm now getting headphones and headphone combinations that are passing it for the first time. Like, the only thing I had heard that was better than the Utopia, like at the time I did the last mega shootout. There's still another mega shootout coming in the next little bit here, whenever I get to it. And the Susvara was the only thing I thought that really solidly bested the Utopia. I don't know that I can say that anymore. I think that there are 3 or 4 headphones that I could say really probably are going to challenge the Utopia at this point. And that would be the Susvara, the 1266 TC, the Carbon, and maybe even the Elite. The Elite I have not spent any time with. I am very guilty of that. And I think some of these headphones are going to wind up getting sold after the next mega shootout, because I just got to pare it down a little bit. I mean, it's great having all these really fun headphones. Holly, if I'm going to let you in, you're going to come on camera. You ready to come on camera? Come on, buddy. Hi. Come here. You gotta make an appearance on YouTube if you're going to howl and interrupt the show. And this is Holly, folks. Holly showed up on our doorstep one night, and he doesn't like, he's being kind of nice right now. Howling at the top of his lungs, this stray, just at our back door. So I named him Howler, which got shortened or tweaked to Howlee, and I put him on TV and tried to get him a home, and nobody would take him. Not a single call. So he now lives with me. He's a part of the house, but he doesn't get along with the other cats, so we have to keep a door between them. Where are we at? LCD4, sponsorship. God, sponsors would be great on this show. And I actually have had some sponsorships, some companies contact me to do sponsorships, and they like went through the trouble of producing a whole video. Like, I did a whole episode with an integrated commercial at the top and the back, like a short little mention at the top and a full blown, like, I did a demonstration of their software. It was sort of like Pixel something or other, and it was like a sort of a Photoshop-ish type thing. And I did like a demo of this thing, and I thought it was kind of cool software, and I didn't mind plugging it because, and then it got to the point where they were supposed to pay me, and they totally vanished. I'm like, so I'm like a little bit leery of these, and it came from an email, and you probably shouldn't just believe somebody just emails you, hey, want to make a commercial of my thing? I promise I'll send you money. It's probably not the best way to go. It's the Michael. It's the Metal. When you gonna come on this show? I got to get you on the show. We're gonna figure out some way to do something. Man after my own. We're definitely like we're brothers from another mother. Have you heard the Thieaudio headphone? I have not. I meant to listen. That was one of the ones I was going to try and get to at Can Jam. I just ran out of time, and that's the problem with living on the northern end of LA and they have Can Jam at as far south as they do. It's like 20 miles, but it's 2 hours in a car. So I had to allow time for that. Yeah, Burson soloists, Burson amps are just killer. There's no question about that. Their quality, the way they machine stuff. I have like an appreciation for something that's well made, and that's the one thing I'll even say about Audeze is they've at least stepped up their craftsmanship, like the fit and the finish and the way the seams are very tight now. Their tolerances are much better. They're working on it, and that's more than I can. What else are you gonna want from a company that's at least they're trying and they're working their butts off. So I appreciate that. VYN, FYI. What is VYN? Vin. I have an uncle Vince. Joe's Garage. Frank Zappa. Now we're talking. Drop your favorite. You know what I've been listening? You know what I'm watching lately on YouTube? There are these teens who are musicians, and they're listening to the Beatles catalog for the first time, and they'll go from like the first album all the way through to Abbey Road, and their reactions, and they've never heard, they've heard some of the big songs, the major anthems, the Let It Be's and stuff like that, but all the great nuanced songs and experimental songs and things like that, and to see these kids watch that and watch their facial reactions as they're hearing something for the first time that's been a part of our lives for so long. I actually was crying yesterday. It's so lame, but I get, music is emotion, and to see these kids getting it for the first time, what we've known for all these years, was special. And it actually had me in tears at one point. It was fantastic. Chris NYC, loved your review of the Carbon. I liked my review of the Carbon. I put so much effort into these things. You would if you guys were in the room with me as I'm editing these things, you would be hitting me on the back of the head and go, move on already, you got it. And I'm like, no, I got to tweak it. Heard it at Can Jam. Yeah, I did too. I thought it was really good. The only problem I had with the Can Jam demo is I wasn't in control of the playlist, and I wasn't in control of the volume. They just handed me the cans, and I could sit there, and they played about 3 or 4 things for me, but they didn't let me in control of it, so I really couldn't hear stuff that I was familiar with. And then, as I discovered, the louder you go with the Carbon, the better that thing gets. Childish Gambino. I probably have heard that, and I'm drawing a blank right now. Chet Baker. I love Chet Baker. Fantastic. How does the Ferrum drive the Abyss 1266 TC? Bard Rich, I was just talking about this earlier in the show. I was really this right here was, and you can tell I've been listening to it because it's all cabled up, but this right here was was going to be the last place finisher at the next shootout. I listened to these. They did not impress me. The upper mids were harsh. I was playing with the angles on these things. I was trying to find, on the Abyss, it's you can adjust these a bunch of different ways. I'm not going to adjust them too far because I finally got them where I like them. You can adjust these, twist them, and you can pull them out, and you can even bend the frame. The Abyss tells you, you can do whatever you want to these things. They're tough, and get a different tone out of them. And I spent 3 weeks with these before I did the sound check of it, and trying to find that sweet spot, and I couldn't find it. No matter what I did, this thing sounded harsh. It was unimpressive. I thought, I don't know what happened. Maybe I got a bad pair here, but Abyss messed up their own headphone when they did this, and that was really. I thought it was a shame. I really was down on that headphone, and I thought this is going to have a hard time making the cut for the next Uber shootout, let alone win anything. And when I got the Ferrum in and I put him on the Ferrum, and the other thing I do on the Ferrum, and you probably can't see this from there, but you can alter with the Hypsos, which is the worst name ever for a product. You can change the voltage on the output of the I'm going to say the power supply, and it will alter the tone of the amp. And they tell you you can go anywhere from 22 volts all the way up to 28 volts, and it will change. And I found a sweet spot on the Abyss at about 25 volts. 25.3 is where we're at right now for those of you keeping score at home. And it really makes a huge difference on the Abyss. I got great tone. And like I said, it went from a headphone that I was ready to I'm just going to do this next shootout and sell the Abyss. And now I think it's going to contend for my best overall headphone when I go and start doing head-to-heads with these things. I think it could win everything. It's that good right now. It's bizarre to me, and it doesn't totally make sense that an amp would that much change the tone. I am coming off of tubes, and I'm going to something else. I'm going to something with a lot more power, and okay, but it has changed the game on the Abyss 1266 TC. I prefer the Carbon or the TC. I don't know. I'm gonna have to put those head to head. That's gonna be in the next shootout. I can tell you that my ears are still recovering, and I'm not kidding. My ears are still recovering from doing the Carbon audition, from doing that Carbon episode. I listened to that music so loud, and it set off my tinnitus. So I still have really bad tinnitus this week from listening too loud. And it's just me. I'm sitting there. I'm like, it's got to get louder. And then the next thing you know, it's like, oh. Kelly Clarkson's Creep Live is so good. I'm going to check that out. I love the song Creep. One of my all-time favorite songs. LCD Close is great with the Reveal plugin. Yeah, I was looking at that. I was going to try and... They don't have it, though, for the LCD5. They don't have the Reveal software. I'm like, you put out this new thing and you didn't do anything for your highest-end headphone. That seems short-sighted. Have you tried any tube amps? Well, yeah, I have a couple of tube amps. I have some small stuff here. I've got the Cavalli Tube Hybrid, and then I've got the big Woo, which you've seen on my show. And the Woo, I have probably $10,000 or $12,000 into this amp when you put the tubes in it. And with all the tubes I've put and spent, the money I've spent on it, I can't... I'll never sell it because nobody would ever pay me anything near what I've got into this amp. So it's my long-term amp, and I will just keep, I'll upgrade it if Woo has, an upgrade path for it. I'd be happy to do that. But yeah, and it's a great amp. It's a powerhouse amp, and even the Abyss guys put it still in, like they put the WA33 in their top tier for Abyss headphone amps, and they put this amp in the next tier below. Very powerful amp with great big huge ass tubes. Baker, where are you at? Tried any? So yes, I've tried many tube amps. And when you're talking about metal, when you're talking about hard rock, heavy metal, that kind of thing, this GSX Mark II has a beautiful, like when you start dealing with distortion, this is a good amp for that kind of sound, for that kind of tone. Really like it. And in fact, I don't know if I told you this, but the Utopia I actually preferred on the GSX Mark II. I thought it paired better than the Ferrum Stack. The Ferrum Stack was a little more on the boring side, and this adds some great flavor to it. Stressful day. That's the point. And I'm sorry, I'm going to mess your name up. Nephilim 81. Yeah, that's what I kind of thought about. I thought middle of the week, I'm going to try and go live for an hour or so, and we're going to talk about shit. I don't want to just make this all about headphones. I love talking music. I love talking about, what's bothering your life. We're not going to talk gas prices, and we're not going to talk politics. We get enough of that. We're not going to talk about the war. This is like, my wife is really bugging me kind of stuff. I think that's what I'm looking for. It's like, hey, crack open whatever your favorite beverage is. Let's kick back and chat for an hour or so and have a good time and get on with the rest of our weeks. That's the whole point. I hope they apply the chassis with a fixed jack design. Oh, on the to the other LCDs. Yeah. I'm sure they're well aware that. I'm sure Audeze's well aware that they've had some less than reliable headphones in their past. Yeah, and definitely metal. You got to get your butt on here. We'll figure out something to do. Other thing I was thinking about doing, and again, all of this stuff comes down to having time, is I should do a membership thing of some sort, because everybody does these membership things, and I assume they probably do better than AdSense, but I don't have time to arrange it. But I was thinking, like, maybe if I did a membership thing, we could do Zooms where we do a big Zoom meeting that I'll host, and then we can all like come in with our live cams and like show off our rigs and talk about our stuff and kind of do that kind of hangout. That would be really cool, because this is very one way. I don't get to see you guys and get to see your rigs and stuff, and that I think would be like totally awesome, where we're having that back and forth. I think picky headphones are more like... Let me read this aloud, Daniel. Daniel Foster writes, I think amp-picky headphones are likely more revealing than amp-dependent headphones. I'm trying to think of a case where that wouldn't be true. I mean, well, it's when you're your top, you know, the top two headphones, but the LCD5 is not as amp picky. And in fact, the LCD5 doesn't care at all, and it's very detailed. So that would be the one that doesn't that kind of bucks that trend. Because the LCD5 actually I haven't heard a bad amp with the LCD5 yet, and this is, you know, even though it's a little, you know, bass light and it's more in that reference range, there's a place for this in anybody's lineup. If you need if you're looking for something that can get really analytical with a piece of music that you're really trying to break down or something, it's like that's probably the best for it. And I also think mixing. If I just didn't insist on mixing on closed backs, and if I could get talk myself into mixing on open backs, which I just don't, this would be the ultimate mixing headphone, because it is so referenced, it's so neutral, and it still reveals everything in the music. I love reel-to-reels. I love reel-to-reels too. Stay tuned to the Director's Garage. I'm not going to say more than that. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe down below, people. Shameless plug. Yeah, the reel-to-reels. Stay tuned. That's all I'm going to say. There's big things ahead. Use closeback costs. I have not listened to a Koss headphone in a very long time. Somebody else would be better to chime in on that. Somebody in chat. Yeah, I'll say this about the reel-to-reel thing. I'm a huge fan, and there are huge technical advantages to going reel-to-reel. There are just inherent, like, records have problems, digital files have problems. There is a significant advantage to listening on reel-to-reel. Do I listen to my vinyl with my headphones? Yes, all the time. All the time. I love that. Rodrigo won a headphone in my first giveaway. And in case you're wondering about giveaways, I did a couple of really big giveaways on the show. I've been a little I've been a little afraid to do one since the whole thing went down with Critical. I don't know what that was about, and nobody's explained it to me. But I think that giving away stuff is a problem for YouTube. And I understand that there's a definition of a lottery, and that has something to do with something. I know you can't, to hold a lottery, there has to be an element of chance and pay to play. Those are the two elements that make up a lottery. And if you have both of those elements, then you're holding a lottery, which is illegal. And online, they're considering, I think, requiring somebody to say subscribe to your channel or to become a member to be eligible for a raffle or a lottery or a giveaway. They consider that to be a lottery. And so they won't let you do it. And I'm sure of that. Now, the way I've done it, as I just said, write your name below so I know you're interested in whatever it is I'm giving away, and I don't think they had a problem with that, but I never got a confirmation from YouTube, and you all know they can be a little difficult to get a hold of and get clarification on. So I would love to do. I've got enough stuff. Oh, Rodrigo corrects me. He sent me the Z1R that I reviewed. That's why I know Rodrigo. He didn't win something. But I'll give you something, Rodrigo. I have a headphone around here I could probably drum up and send your way, just as a thank you. Not a lottery, no chance. I'm just going to give it to you. So yeah, another Mike Donalo is a reel-to-reel fan too. DSD, I'm a big fan of DSD. I think that DSD is the best encoding, digital encoding they've come up with yet. I have not heard better. So that's all. I don't understand. There are folks that don't want to go to DSD. I understand the MQA argument, and I have a counter argument for MQA. I get why people are upset over the MQA debacle. What I don't get are people that don't want to use MQA because it doesn't do exactly what they say it does. It still sounds really good, and of the streaming stuff, it may be the best out there. I haven't done any A/B comparisons, but it's really good. It's so much better than what I hear from Apple Music streaming, Amazon streaming, from what I hear on certainly SiriusXM does the worst compression job ever, and Tidal sounds really good. And I know that there's those people who are really upset about the MQA thing, but I'm like, yeah, it may be our best option as far as just pure streaming. And I know there are other streamers out there that do good stuff, but I still think there is a space for MQA, although the guys need to be taken out for the woodshed for lying to us. That's all I have to say about it. But where am I going with that? Somebody's saying, oh, so we're talking about DSD. DSD to me is the best encoding. If you get a DSD encoded file that's truly encoded DSD, not converted, because there are some people that are taking, high-end recordings like 96K files, and then they're converting them to DSD and saying, well, this is a DSD file. Well, that's clearly not a DSD. It wasn't encoded as a DSD. You're not getting the benefit of that raw capture. Now, there is a DSD, I think it's 256, which is like the 4X of Jazz at the Pawn Shop. And if you have a DAC that's capable of decoding that, it is a pure DSD encoding and it's spectacular. It's just beautiful. Reference range, looking for a closed back. Daniel, I'm not understanding this. I love reference range, but looking for closed back. But if I had a BIS 1266, I would make a reticulated. We're still live, baby. That's my wife. That's Mrs. Director. I never stop talking. She can't shut me up. I'm not sure about your question, Daniel, and maybe somebody can help to chime in and explain it. I'm not sure what he's asking. Will I be selling the Utopia soon? Maybe I want to do the next shootout, the next Uber shootout, and then I'll see what lives and what goes away. But something's going to go away. You get nothing. Okay. See, now that's smart. JTB with the reference to Caddyshack. I like soundtracks, Mr. No number one here. You like soundtracks. I like some sound. I'm not a... Zeos is a huge proponent of soundtracks, and he listens to soundtracks almost exclusively when he does his reviews, because he thinks that they're, there's more production value in them or something. But I'm like, I like stuff that tells me more about the music that I actually like. I'm like, I don't like sitting around listening to, the instrumental from... Although the instrumental from Kill Bill, man, that's one to check out. Is it Qobuz? I think Qobuz blows them all away. I haven't. I would love to do. I should like take a membership to go Qobuz and do some A/Bing between that and the title. And I want to see what the title, like the Twitter, the title, the Twitter. I want to see what. I want to do a little A/Bing with that when I have time, but I gotta have time to actually go through it and do it. I also like the selection on. I don't know what the selection's like on Qobuz, but I know that the selection on Tidal is right in my mainstream. My wife is going to dance it out in a park for an hour. She does this thing. It's right at dusk. They bring in lights and do a dancing thing for an hour. Yeah, I would like to do some A/Bing and actually sit through and try it and see what happens. And Qobuz, yeah, I want to see what their selection's like. I want to see if they have all the stuff that I like, and I'm maybe sure they do. I don't know. And then how well does it? The other big part of this is how well does it integrate to Roon? Because I use Roon for everything. It's too universal and too ubiquitous through my system. We're talking on the Headphone show, which is Andrew's show on Saturday. Go there and check that out. The Headphone show on Saturdays, because he's phenomenal and he does a great job, better job hosting than I'll ever do on this show. But we're having fun here. We're not getting all too serious about the headphone stuff. But on Andrew's show, we were talking about this, about having a way to select between DACs, because I have 3-4 different DACs that are online and able for my system to push audio through. And I need to be able to switch between them for various reasons, whether I'm recording, playing back, doing work, doing actual work stuff, or listening to music. I've got different apps for all of this, different DACs for all of it. For instance, if I'm recording something, I will use the playback loop through the Apogee Symphony, so I'm getting the benefit of the latency stuff that it provides. And then for my regular stuff, I mentioned this in the last stream, I use the Hugo TT1, this black guy down here, and then I use the silver one, that's my listening rig. But I want to switch between them depending on what I'm doing, and sometimes I just want to play some music over the speakers, and for that it's going to go through the cord, the Hugo 1. So there's that. So having that Roon integration back on point, because I do this, having that Roon integration is great, is critical for me, because I can select my DAC super quick. I do have another app on here that will let me do it as well, but the Roon makes it so easy to just change where you're feeding what, and it'll even feed separate devices, separate things at the same time, which is really cool. And great for A/Bing stuff sometimes. It can come in really handy. Favorite IEM, Sammy Anderson. Favorite IEM is currently the Noble Audio Sultan is my favorite IEM at the moment. I like the Sultan. I think it's the best rounded. I think it by far has the best bass. My other headphones that I like for IEMs, I think that the practical best IEM out there, and I still say buy this if you're, or at least listen to this before you make a decision. The $900 Kinera Nanna 2.0 is the best I've heard. I have not dived into the new Thieaudio stuff. Thieaudio. Nobody's ever given me a proper pronunciation of that. I still call it Thieaudio. I hope that's accurate. But the Monarch 2, I hear good things about. I have not heard that, and it's I need to get more viewers before I can get some of these places like Linsol to send me something that's $1,000. They're not going to send me $1,000 with 3,700 subscribers. I'm not going to be able to get a $1,000 headphone sent to me unless it's Audio 46 who sends me stuff because of our deal. But Linsol, Linsol has in case you don't know, Linsol has a history of with the people that they send out headphones to, they usually don't ask them for them back. The main reason is where they're located. They're in Hong Kong, and so sending something back is extremely expensive. It can be up to $200 to get something back into Hong Kong. So $200 to send it here, $200 to send it back. It's like, it's not worth it. So they usually just send you the headphones, the IEMs, and they tell you, we don't want them back. And at which point, that's why I started doing the giveaways, because I don't like to keep stuff. I like to give stuff away. First of all, I've got enough IEMs here. I have my favorites, and I bought them, so I'm happy with them, and I'm going to leave it at that. But I also like to pay it forward. And I think that that's like the cool part about doing this show, and where I'm kind of hamstrung at the moment is I'm afraid to do one of these giveaways and pay stuff forward and give away stuff, but because I'm afraid I'm going to get banned, and I don't want to get banned. I like doing the show, and I already got, you know, that inquiry once where they were saying that I was reusing video inappropriately, and I showed them. I had to do a whole episode of The Director's Garage just for YouTube to get my channel reinstated, and so I don't want to go through that again. So I'm a little leery until somebody gives me an absolute, like, here's what you can do, here's what you can't do. Right now they just, all I get out of them is, I'm afraid, you know, we don't like you giving away stuff, is basically what they say. Interpret that how you want and risk getting, you know, a ban hammer. I don't want to do it. So yes, the Sultan is my favorite, and then I would say the Kinera Nanna 2.0, and I think it's away right now, but I like the Shure KSE 1500. That electrostatic is really still special, which is quite an achievement for a headphone that's 3 or 4 years old. It's amazing that can still hold up, and I guess it's, you could say the same thing at this point about the Focal. I mean, the Utopia is long in the tooth in headphone years, and it's still viable. It's still an excellent headphone. Daniel, FPGA versus Saber. I honestly, I'm like, I like Cord, and I don't know what Cord is. Cord does their own chips. So Cord makes my favorite DACs that I've heard. I know that I've listened to the shit DACs and I didn't like them. Personal preference. I didn't find that they gave me the kind of clarity that I enjoy out of the Hugo setups. All the Hugos. So the Cord DACs, to me, I just like the Cord sound. That's not to say that there's not something out there that's better. That's what I've had, and I've tried other things. I had a Wired for Sound DAC 2 that was a good middle of the road stuff, but once I got into the Cord DACs, I sold off all those other DACs because these sound so good to me. So the short answer is Cord does their own internal DACs, chips. They don't buy chips off the shelf. They develop their own chips, and so I don't know what scheme they're doing. I just know I like them. Halome or Spring 3. Somebody'd have to send them to me. That's Rodrigo. iFan, in terms of amps, I recently got the iFi iCam Pro. I like the iFi stuff. I think it's good for what it is. I don't think it would be my end game. I haven't listened to their desktop stuff, but their portable stuff is very good for what it does. It's got a lot of power to drive stuff that needs a lot of power. I thought it did really nice things to my Sultans, but I also think that there's better stuff out there if you're interested. If you want to go up the ladder a little bit, I still think the Hugo 2 is a better portable DAC amp. Are high-end cables snake oil? Well, I think we like stuff. I think I'm going to show you one. Wait, I showed this off on the show. And again, another situation where, and I have two custom cables. I have two custom cables that I bought. Nothing says hold your viewers like getting off camera, right? This is this one I just bought, and this was used. I found that I bought both of these. No, one of them I bought new, one of them I bought used. This one was used. These things go for like $3,000 new. This is from Kimber Cables. This is their hybrid cable. I will be honest with you. I would never pass a blind taste test for a cable. I think that, do they make a difference? I think some people can hear a difference. Not me. This is a Norn Norn cable. I know I sent away for this, and it didn't come for like 6 or 7 months. After 6 or 7 months, I said, didn't I order a cable from you? I sent him an email, and he goes, oh my God, I lost the order. You did, and you paid for it. And I'm like, okay. He's like, I'll get it to you, man. I don't want to. I'm like, no big deal. Things happen, you know. But I bought this, and I think this is kind of a cool cable. I like a good thick weaved cable, but do they make a difference? I don't know. Probably not. I think we're stupid and we're gullible, and we can. And there's nothing wrong with that. By the way, there is nothing wrong with being stupid, and there's nothing wrong with being gullible. And I think we're perfectly capable of both. YouTube doesn't allow giving prizes to entrants subscriber count increase. Right, and I didn't do that. Critical is probably more prizes for. I don't want to bring up the Critical case because that's his thing. I'm like I just know what. I know that I definitely did not make subscribing a hinge point on entering a giveaway. I did not want to do that. I didn't think it was fair. All I wanted to know is if you wanted whatever it was I was giving away, because some people don't. Like if I'm giving away the Meze Rai Solo, if you have a Meze Rai Solo, you may not want a second one, in which case. JR says, which speaker system do you have at home? I have Vandersteens. I'm a big fan of Vandersteens because they put their development and their money into the speaker itself and not into the housings. They take shortcuts on the housings in order to bring you a bigger bang for the buck on the speaker itself. And that's a way of saying that they use particle board. They use press board for their enclosures, and they're not as fancy looking, and they're not as, but they put all of their effort into their drivers and into their crossover technology, and it shows. You'll get a much better sounding speaker, in my opinion, at the $2,000 level for Vandersteen than you will at a $2,000 for some of the other manufacturers. So I have Vandersteen 3s, which the company then took back at one point and made them 3A signatures through an upgrade thing. I gave them some money and they did that, and then they put a new skin on it because cats love the nylon that goes over those speakers. And now they need to go back and get another set of nylons. It's been about 10 years over the speakers. So yeah, that's what I like. And I have a Krell amp, an old KSE, talked about this in the last episode, an old KSA 100S that fed that beautiful high-end, super high-end amp that gave me a little puff of smoke last time I turned it on. So that's in for a repair right now. Do I listen to vinyl? Yes, Josh, I listen to vinyl. If you know this show, I have 3,000 records on the other side of the room, 3,000-ish. I've lost count. I'm a huge vinyl fan, and I love listening to vinyl. I love the way vinyl sounds. Have I heard the Chord Dave? Yes, I've heard it at a Can Jam a couple years ago. I haven't heard it recently, and I probably don't want to because it's going to make me want one. And if you know me, I'm susceptible. Any thoughts on podcasting collaborations with unpaid headphone reviewers? I don't know, maybe. Everything comes down to me everything for me comes down to time. I budget. My days are so ridiculously busy. Getting that time block to do something, it's a commitment. It's going to be a commitment, and getting the episodes out every week. And I talk about this sometimes on the main show. Getting the episodes out sometimes is a real challenge. It's because I'm up until 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning editing some nights, and I've got a 6 o'clock call the next morning regardless for work. So working on 2 hours of sleep, I can get by on that for a couple of days, but there comes a point at which I start to break down a little bit. I get a little snappy, and that's not a good thing for a director to be snappy on set. So yeah, I do. It just comes down to time, like when. I would like to get a set of Director's Garage t-shirts out, and that stuff that I could give away just to you guys, and promote the show, and maybe get some sales out of it at some point or whatever. I don't have time for it. I barely have time to get the shows out, and this is a nice stopgap. We can just turn on the camera for an hour, chat, talk about beer. I want to hear beer. What's your beer recommendation? Somebody give me a beer recommendation. Enough of this headphone stuff. JTB recently lost his mind and got hooked up with a Cord Hugo TT2 and M scaler, and he's now homeless. You know my world. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy good. And yeah, we are definitely not the smartest species of the species, but we're crafty, and I like it. Best audio upgrade: clean your ears by a professional. Okay, I'd buy that. I'd buy that. My best audio upgrade would be to get rid of this tinnitus, and if anybody knows how to do that, they would make a gazillion dollars, because most of my friends in this business have some sort of tinnitus. I got mine from an airplane flight. JR likes my rants. I try not to rant too much, I mean, I have opinions on things, but, look, if you have a different opinion than me, I'm fine with it. Have a different opinion. It's cool. It's cool. There's room for all of this stuff. There's room for all this stuff. There's room for everybody in this big tent. Oh, Hoin Dark Matter. Wow, I like that. I like the sound of that. I'm going to copy this chat. I'm going to go try some new beers. So, hey to everybody. And make sure, hey, if you haven't thought about liking this show, pretty good time to go down there and, while I'm reading some chats here, good time to go down there and maybe click that little like button. See how high we can get this. I've got a whole 22 people. But I think we've had more people in and out, and I think that's kind of cool. We're an hour into this, so I'm probably going to we'll start winding down our happy hour stuff. But I want to do this. I want to do this, and I want to find new ways of even doing it, even if it's Zoom or something. We'll figure all of this out going forward. I'm going to try doing this on a Wednesday around happy hour. I know it's East Coasters. It's a little late for you. It's later for you guys. Maybe I can get on the air a little earlier, like 3:30 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It just depends on when I get done with work. But if you're interested in tuning in, and we're just going to do this Hangout thing, yeah, let's plan on Wednesdays as my target. Just keep your eye open. Click the little bell if you subscribe. So shameless, and it's so stupid. What but that's really what it comes down to. It comes down to trying to convince somebody to click a button that costs them nothing and click a bell that hopefully won't annoy them. That's what all of YouTube is built on. But yeah, I'm going to try and I want to do this on a Wednesday basis. Andrew's got that Saturday slot, and it's so good. I didn't think he was actually going to do a live stream, which is why I went live on Saturday. Because if he's not going to have a live stream, usually by about 9:30 or so, you won't see like the card go up that Andrew's doing a live stream that morning if he's taking the weekend off or something. And I don't have direct communication with these guys. We're all busy. So he didn't have one, and I thought, well, maybe this is a chance to try out doing a live stream like I did on Saturday. And then no sooner did I post it, he posted his. And now I'm like, great. So then I backed it up a half an hour just so I could get off the air in time for him to start his show, because I don't want to tread on that. Andrew does a great job. I'm talking about Andrew Park at the Headphone Show. Does a great job with his show, and I'm not about riffing on what other people are doing. Clearly, this Hangout is much different than what Andrew's hauling up, like charts and talking about stuff that I don't understand, and EQing and Q level. You know, and I know enough from engineering, from my engineering stuff, what the EQ stuff does and how it works and stuff, but I'm not into like doing a whole set of EQs for different headphones and all of that. I'm like, that's jumping into the technical end of headphone stuff that I'm more into the music of it and the sound of it, which I think that clearly comes across in the show. Guinness Stout, Bruce Posey, man after my heart. I love a Guinness Stout. That's my favorite beer. So I like a good dark beer. So I'm a big fan of that. So somebody says, take mushrooms for tinnitus. If it was the 80s, we could have a discussion. It's not the 80s anymore. The old joke, I used to do drugs in the 80s, and now I don't care what the temperature is. It's really bad. It's a bad dad joke. And if you know this show, I am loaded with bad dad jokes. But yeah, Andrew does a phenomenal job. Just to finish that thought, does a phenomenal job. And I don't want to tread on that. I don't want to like do something that he's doing. It's like I want to do my own take on what a live stream could be. And I don't think we're there yet. I think this is like scratching the surface. This is a lot going on at once. But I want to do something where it's more fun. Like we got to be able to toast, and we got to figure out how to toast each other and tip one back and have a drinking game or have something to make it more, just to keep the fun level up on this thing. And I like opening something live. That was kind of fun in the last show. I just don't have anything that I really want to burn without doing a full show on right now in-house. So if I get something else, I'll pop that into a live stream. But keep your eye on Wednesdays. For this stream, that's when I'm going to try and do it, and we'll try and grow it that way. And if the best part about it is, if I'm having a week like I'm having this week, where it's Wednesday and I've just written the show for the next episode, we can at least meet up live and talk about our lives and what's going on and kind of get together. And I do like that I get instant feedback of this. That's really awesome to me. That's really just having this exchange and hearing what's going on in your worlds, and making it not all about headphones. We can talk beer and we can talk about things that ain't going so well. My car broke and my dog ran away and whatever. Life's turning into a country song. I think that's great. And that's kind of what I'm more about. I want to connect with you guys, and I really want to hear what you're listening to, and I want to hear what you're have an appreciation for that's turning you on, because I'm always, late at night when I'm sitting here and I'm doing taxes, I'm looking for something new. One of the things that I did enjoy, getting back to the title discussion, was maybe this was a part of Rune. I don't know what. The problem is I don't know where Rune ends and title begins, because they're kind of integrated together. But there are playlists, and there are some really great playlists on title that have a bizarre, weird name to them. And like, I'll just click on this weird, like, jazz meets rap, jazz rap. And I'll like click on that, and it's like this really cool playlist of like stuff that's been out of the box imagined, where people are using like weird time signatures and rapping to it. And I'm like, that's really cool. That's different. I like hearing different things. So, that to me is like, I love hearing what you guys are listening to, and I like sharing, one of the things, and somebody came up with a great idea, and I wish I remembered which person it was, and we're going to integrate this into an upcoming show. I'm going to do a random record review. And how this works, this is a great, and I'm not going to take credit for this. I'm going to take credit for the title, because he came up with something else, and I was like, no, that title doesn't work. But it's called Random Record Review, and what I would do is go to this rack of, I've got several shelves here of like 3,000 records, and just pull one out, and I'm going to talk about it. Like, tell you, I don't know everything about every album, but I can tell you probably where I bought something, what the situation was, what I appreciated about the record, and I can probably give you a little something on where it came from, or a lot of times I have to look it up. I'm not going to pretend to be like I remember everything, because I don't. And names are my worst thing. So yeah. Oh, JTB, thank you so much. I appreciate the tip. That's always appreciated. Say no to Stacks Fart says good pixel. I don't know if you were here in the beginning of the episode, but I will be heading to Audeze on April 1st. I don't know if they're going to let me bring a camera. Probably not. But I'm going to Audeze's headquarters in Santa Ana on April 1st, and they are going to give me or either replace or tweak or do something to the carbon that will take away the propensity for these things to stack fart. They have a revision on that headphone, is the simple thing that I'm trying to say. So there you go. I'm going to be going to Audeze, and hopefully they're going to show me around, and I'll get to see super secret stuff that I can't show you. And then I'll come back here and go, you know what I saw? I can't tell you. That's the shittiest thing to do to somebody. I hate that. Why'd you even bring it up? Can't tell me. Stax SRX 9000. Stephen Body, that is the headphone that I most want in-house, and that is what's keeping me from doing my next Uber shootout, is the hope that I will sell off just enough gear to where I can throw some money at the pile and pick up an SRX 9000 before I do the next mega shootout. And part of that is Metal's doing, because he challenged me way back when he first saw that. I don't know if he's still here or not, but Metal challenged me back when he first found my channel. He goes, hell yeah, you got to do the SRX 9000. This is like 6 months ago. SRX 9000, and you got to do a shootout between it and the Carbon. And I'm trying to make that come true. I'm just short on funds. I got to sell some stuff to be able to do it, because I'm not willing to jeopardize house and home and wife for a headphone. And there is no equation in which that works in a good way. So yes. So folks, I'm going to wrap this up. We've been going for a little over an hour. So great for you guys to drop in. Let's do this again next week, provided I'm not on the road somewhere. I know I'm going to Palm Springs on Thursday of next week. Had a shoot get pushed. Tomorrow I'm in San Diego. And then I've got the Oscars, and I've got Grammys coming up. I've got a bunch of stuff coming up. I don't know if I'm going to the Grammys in Vegas or not. They haven't told me yet. But I've got a lot of shoots this month. There's a lot of big stuff coming up this month, and it's keeping me busy, which is why I'm not shoving out 2 episodes a week right now, and I'm sitting here for an hour instead of writing and doing all that stuff. So let's see. We've got some music. I got the outro music. I can do that. Oh yeah! Look at that! I got the outro music going, and I will. I hope you guys hope you guys have a great rest of the week. I really hope that. I hope you guys are safe, and I hope you guys are happy and enjoying life. And wherever you're at, I hope you open a beer for me tonight and have a cold one, and we all just kick back and get through the rest of this thing called a week, and get to the weekend, and get some quality headphone listening in and some quality music listening into. And go check out those kids on YouTube checking out those Beatles records for the first time. I'm telling you, it'll bring a tear to your eye. It'll give you a little emotional lift. So I will be back with I'll be back next week on this show, plan on the live stream, and then I will have episode 100 at some point as soon as I can get it recorded and done and all that. And I will see you guys. You know the rest.